on a meeting with a really important client.
Sorry I asked.
Some movies are just too good. Seeing them doesn't feel real. Watching them for the first time feels like you're experiencing an entirely different reality. The film industry is easily one of the most crowded, and there's pretty much a new movie every day. Trust me, I watch a lot of them. Most of them are forgettable, but some movies feel like hitting a black flash, a crazy explosion of energy and willpower that hits you right in the part of your soul it intended to. We've been lucky to have a few films like that this year, and now I'm happy to say that we have another. Because The Furious is one of those movies. Hello, Micah here. Welcome back to The Echo, just one branch of the tree known as Volunteers in Service to Art. At Vista, we're currently locked in on the art of cinema, and we like to talk about and share the art that we're experiencing. Like our videos and subscribe for more videos talking about our favorite films and to see our original work. Every little bit really helps us in pursuit of making our own movies and shows, and in the meantime we'll talk about the ones we liked and the ones we didn't to see what we should strive for and what we should avoid. 2026 is the year of the volunteer, so follow us everywhere at Vista USA, Vista MP4, and Vista Echoes. Alright, so The Furious. Holy shit, y'all, this movie, what can I even say? This was a top 5 theater experience of my entire life. I was locked in from start to finish. It's a visceral and gritty yet emotional and heartfelt thrill ride that honestly needs more marketing for American audiences. Probably another turn in theaters too, because I didn't see anything about this movie for a minute. Director Kenji Tanigaki cements himself with an all-time classic that will stand up against the test of time with films like the Raid series, Oldboy, and Ip Man. An immediate classic. The Furious was shot with a DJI Ronin 4D and a Sony Venice. They used a crazy low-budget camera and gimbal combo. This was such a genius move by the production team to use a small, lightweight, almost prosumer-style rig and spend heavy on lenses. They used Leitz Hugo lenses, Fujinon Promistas, Angino Optimal Ultras, really spanning a wide variety to capture the relentless action and still bring the contrast of atmospheric, quiet drama when the fight lets up. Starring Jae Mao, Joe Taslim, Young and Yo, Gigi Yanin, Brian Lee, and Yaya Nruhian. The Furious features some of the best stunt work performances and fight choreography in cinema history. I love martial arts and action films. Soon I'll be choreographing some original work for Vista Productions, so stay tuned for that. Needless to say, I was overly locked in for this entire film. Brian Lee is an excellent performer. He was a big part of the choreography for Everything Everywhere All at Once and Shang-Chi. Joe Taslim is one of the greatest martial arts actors of all time. The Raid Redemption, Mortal Kombat. If you haven't seen Warrior, I highly recommend going and watching that. Without a doubt, the best martial arts show of all time. And Yaya Nruhian, one of the scariest men in the world. If you've seen any of his movies, you know what I'm talking about. He can't be any taller than like 5'6", but without a doubt, scarier than every horror villain because he's actually doing all of that in real life, in real time. He has such a sinister smile and is always playing the final boss in these movies because there's no better obstacle to a satisfying ending than having your hero have to fight him. There's no chance it's gonna be easy. Spoilers if you haven't seen The Furious. It's the story of two men, Wang Wei and Naveen, fighting to stop a child trafficking operation. Naveen's wife Mataya was investigating the operation when she disappeared, and Wang Wei's daughter Rainey was taken by the same operation. When they cross paths, Naveen recruits Wang Wei, and they work together to move up the ladder of the organization and to dismantle the child trafficking ring. It's a pretty straightforward rescue story, but it feels so fresh compared to others like it. The cinematography is a huge part of that. A rich and vibrant color palette, dynamic lighting, and honestly unreal camera work put it in its own league. Another element that made The Furious so memorable was Rainey's story. I like that even though she was kidnapped, she was never patronized or infantilized. She was her own character and a crucial part to the protagonist succeeding. I hate to compare it to Supergirl just because that's another movie out right now, but they had a lot of similar themes. Supergirl was a wolf and cub story, and The Furious was a wolf and cub story with Wang Wei and his daughter. Not only that, but the child trafficking operations in both films, I feel like The Furious was able to take it a lot more seriously while also balancing some action and humor, which Supergirl failed to do. A lot of parts fell flat because they did not take the child trafficking operation as seriously as it should have. That shouldn't have been something that they introduced in that film because they didn't give it the gravity that it deserved. I think that following Rainey's story in The Furious really gave you an insight into how that operation works. Not only that, but the boy character who ended up tricking her into the child trafficking operation, having him participate in that really gave like a lot of insight into how these things work. And I think it just made it a lot more serious seeing the kids in that situation where they weren't being harmed, but the threat of harm and the way the places they were being held was shot made it feel so much more real and like you were there. That puts the Furious leagues above Supergirl, and Ruthie, the little sidekick that she had, was terrible compared to Rainey. I think that Rainey was a really good example for young Western heroines. She reminded me of like a Miyazaki character, strong but still gentle and maintaining that peaceful kindness. If I had a one wish, Willow, I would wish for the sequel with her as the lead immediately. Her story also gave the film another layer of tension by having her lead her own rescue when Wong Wei and Naveen eventually do show up. They don't end up rescuing her, they end up fighting to protect her, but the kids don't just wait around. It's Rainey and the other little boy who decide to make a plan to actively get them out of the situation, giving them their own agency and making them feel like real characters. Naveen and Wong Wei's brotherhood is the real heart of the film. By their second fight together, they're moving as a perfectly coordinated team. Even though Wong Wei is mute, they seem to understand each other naturally and fight to the tooth and nail in every scene. Even though we don't get a lot of downtime with them, the quiet moments between each fight hit so much harder because of what we just seen them survive. Joey Iwanaga plays Pak Long, the main villain of the film. He did so well with so little screen time. He's one of the most memorable villains I've seen in a while. He starts so composed and collected, and then becomes one of the most unhinged villains I've ever seen. He gets a scene where he fully descends into evil, and it was so bloody and visceral, and features some pretty graphic stuff that I really haven't seen depicted in film, but in a way that made sense and wasn't overly graphic to the point of where it's like, oh, okay, don't see the movie. It was a real kind of evil that I think a lot of antagonists outside of the horror genre lack. The ending fight scene is the best fight scene I have ever witnessed in my life. I've never seen a 2v2v1, but it was so cool having Brian Lee's henchman character come back for revenge against all sides. It gave him more depth than the normal henchman character. It made the fight 10 times cooler. It felt like something out of a manga or anime, more like JJK. If any Kagurabachi fans are watching this, there's a moment where they do the split panel stare down before the characters continue fighting. It felt just like Ruha Natsuki versus the Shaku. So how does The Furious echo? Loud and clear, with a tone that doesn't pierce or overwhelm your ears, but you'll never be able to forget. I'm gonna be thinking about some of those fight scenes for a long time, and probably watching it damn near every week when it hits digital. The entire film's echo is to put everything on the line to protect what you love. The film made me question what I would really be able to do if the woman I love was investigating something that led to her death. Would I have the strength to take up her mission? Or if my daughter was kidnapped, could I run top speed, barefoot through the street to get her back? Could I fight through nearly 100 men without even being able to speak? Maybe not. But seeing others do those things in the film makes you want to throw yourself into everything you do a little bit more. To fully commit to your actions like they committed to every move, shot, and set piece in the film. Like Wong Wei. Sometimes words won't be enough. Expressing your anger through them won't mean anything. Commit to every action that gets you closer to your goal through your anger, because of it and in spite of it. Master it and make it yours. And maybe you'll get to be called one of the Furious. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more. We'll be uploading original content all of July and onward. 2026 is the year of the volunteers, so hop on the Vista train while you still can. It's not too late to be early. At Vista, we believe that criticizing art isn't worth much if you don't create, and we want to produce as much as we consume. Become a part of that with us. Follow us everywhere at Vista USA, Vista MP4, and Vista Echoes. Next up, we're talking about Supergirl and the Bear.